friends, welcome back, and it's time for another Random Books vlog. It's a historical fiction, and that book is Absolam's Daughters by Suzanne Feldman. So I'm not entirely sure what this book is about because, you know, random book. I'm just gonna read the cover. I know people hate that, but I don't really know how else to do this because I don't know what it's about. So, self-educated and brown-skinned, Cassie works full-time in her grandmother's laundry in rural Mississippi. Illiterate and white, Judith falls for colored music and dreams of a life as a big city radio star. These teenage girls are half-sisters, and when they catch wind of their wayward father's inheritance coming down in Virginia, they hitch their hopes to a road trip together to claim what's rightly theirs. In an old junk car, with a frying pan, a ham, and a few dollars hidden in a shoe, they set off through the American Deep South of the 1950s, a bewitchingly beautiful landscape as well as one bedeviled by racial strife and violence. So it does say there's a bit of magical realism in here as well, which I'm not usually too big of a fan of, but we'll see how it goes. So this is what I will be reading this week. I don't know why I keep starting these vlogs on weeks that I know I have a lot of work to do and that I'm not going to get much reading done. So it is the next week. It's now Monday the 9th. I haven't even read one whole chapter of Absolam's Daughters yet. I did start on it last Tuesday when we picked the book, but I had grading to do and classwork, and then over the weekend I edited and put up a video that went up today. But this week, because I got all of my stuff done, most of my stuff done last week, will be a reading week. It's Sunday the 15th, I think. I'm still not done with this book. I'm only about halfway through, and I thought I would check in while I finish getting ready to film something today. But I'm not liking it, but I'm also not enjoying it as much as I could be, I guess. And it's not really the story, it's just that I cannot seem to connect with the characters. I can't really get into it because of that. So this is taking me a whole lot longer than it should to get through a 250-page book. I don't want to DNF it because it's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't like it all that much. So I'm not sure how it's gonna go yet. So far, it's just going meh. And it does hit on quite a lot of social issues. Obviously, this is set in the 1950s in the southern US, right in the middle of the Jim Crow era, and so there's heavy racism throughout the book, societal racism, but also internalized racism as well, maybe even somewhat colorism as well, coming from Cassie's grandmother. The reason Cassie decided, or actually her mother decided this for her, but the reason they both agreed for Cassie to leave home and go with her sister across country into Virginia was because Cassie's family, at least her grandmother and her grandmothers in the past, or her great-grandmothers and things, are bent on making their family white or whiter or lighter than what they are. And they do that by making their children, their daughters, have children with white men. So they essentially are on a mission to breed the black out of their family. At least Cassie's grandmother is. That's how Cassie came to be born, because her grandmother made her mom have a child with a black man, or a white man. And she doesn't want that to be imposed on Cassie, because the grandmother is getting some pretty big ideas when a new boy came to town. He is a white boy, but he is also an albino. So he is really, really white. And so the grandmother, of course, was all over that. And so to make sure that Cassie did not fall into that trap of what the grandmother was planning, her mother packed her off with some money that she had saved away, and Cassie caught up with her half-sister, Judith. They have the same dad, because Judith had gotten a letter from a distant relative saying that her dad, who abandoned their family, was coming into an inheritance that is partially hers. She has a right to it since she's family. So they were on their way to try and get a hold of that, and then afterwards they were going to go into New York because Judith wants to become a radio star. She likes to sing. So that's why they're going across country. Judith is going to get some money and then to get famous, and then Cassie is going basically just to get away from her grandmother and her set future that her grandmother had in store for her. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack in it, but, you know, again, it's not the story that I'm not enjoying. I think it's just that I'm not connecting with the characters. So, I don't know. I'm not sure where it's going to go. And I don't want to say too much, because everything I've just said is not really a spoiler. You can, you learn this really early on in the book, within the first probably chapter or two. We'll see how it goes as we get further in. November 17th, and I have just finished the Absolam's Daughters by Suzanne Feldman. It has taken me far too long to read this 250-page book, but it's done now. It was okay. I didn't love it, but it was okay. There was supposed to be a pretty strong sisterly bond between the two, I think, but I didn't feel that really at all. I really felt it was more of a circumstance sort of relationship, more out of necessity. They each needed each other in order to escape their present situation and to move on to something better that they want. I felt this more so in Judith than I did with Cassie. Judith was heavily reliant on Cassie's intelligence to help her get to where she's going, to help her make her fame and fortune. I just didn't feel that sisterly connection between them. I think I was meant to, but I didn't. There was also some magical realism thrown throughout the book, which I don't think I really like in general, but I really didn't think that it worked in this story either. All of the lessons that the magic was supposed to teach them could have been taught without it, and in my opinion, think would have a much bigger punch to learn it without the magic. So I thought it was very unnecessary, and it felt like it was just thrown in just to have it in there. I didn't like it at all. The overall lesson learned, the theme throughout the book, of course, is love yourself, love who you are, accept it, but also to remember your past, to not try and erase your past, because it's your past that essentially has made you who you are. This is not one that I am happy that I bought. Luckily, it was really cheap, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I read it, and it was okay, but not the best. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that means I will see you soon.